All right, welcome everybody. Today I'm going to walk you through one of the new connectors in Nintex Workflow Cloud. Due to a recent update we just had, you'll notice we have a Microsoft Excel action over here on the left-hand side, or category. I'm going to go through the insert table data action, kind of walk you through how that works, what you need to do to set that up. And so we'll take a look at that today. So the first thing we're going to need to do is set up our Excel workbook. So you'll see I have my workbook here. I've created a table inside the workbook. It has 7 different columns in it. So you could have, more or less than that, just depending on what the form is that you're filling out in Nintex Workflow Cloud. In my case, I have the 6 fields here, and then the date field I'm populating with the context of the workflow. So we'll look at that here in just a minute. But you do need to create a table in your Excel workbook and just give it a name. You'll see I just have NWC test on mine here, right here. And so that's my table name. And then what we're going to do, this action only works with OneDrive for Business. So you will have to update or upload your workbook into OneDrive for Business. You'll see I have a demos folder here, and there's my Excel sheet that I've uploaded into OneDrive for Business. So I've got that uploaded. Let's go ahead and close that. And then within your workflow, so you'll want to create a form. Like I mentioned, mine's just a simple form here, capturing 6 fields that are going to populate these 6 fields in the Excel workbook in that table. And then we're picking up the date here. I'll show you that here in a second from the context of the workflow. So I got my form set up. And then the insert table data. So what you'll have to do is create a connection if you don't already have one. So this will connect to the OneDrive for Business where you have your Excel workbook uploaded. So make sure you're using credentials that actually can connect to that OneDrive for Business and have access to the spot where you put that workbook. And then once you get your connection set up, you'll notice here it pulls back every Excel workbook that's in that OneDrive that you have it connected to. So I'm using the NWC form test. So you just select your workbook there, and then you will get the option to select the table inside the workbook. So if you remember on our Excel workbook that we just looked at, mine was called NWC test, and you'll see I have NWC test right there. And then what you do is you select where you want the data to be inserted into the table. I selected row 1, basically right below the headers, so that which is 0. So you can see it says row 1 equals 0, row 2 equals 1, etc. So you're basically one back. And then in mine, I have 1 row. So I created the 1 row here, and then I added the cells for each one of the items that I'm sending over to the workbook. And you'll want to send those over in the correct order. So first name, last name, address, city, state, zip are the order, and then the date that I have it in. And I pulled for the first name, last name, and everything like that. Those are all coming from my form variables on the start event here. So you have first name, last name, address, city, state, and zip. And that's how I filled in these top points here, or these top variables. For the date, I just went to the workflow context here. I could have pulled current date and time if I actually wanted the time as well. I just went with current date. I just wanted to throw the date in there as a test. And then you do have an output here. I just have an output set for cell data. I'm not doing anything with that in this workflow. All we're doing here is populating the cell data in the Excel workbook. So now that we've got it configured, let's go ahead and test that, and we'll make sure. You notice that my Excel workbook, when I opened it, was empty. So let's go ahead and we'll fill it in here. And let's just do a quick test. All right, so we got a quick test here. I'm going to hit submit. And we'll give this just a second to run. So you'll see it's inserting the table data. Should give us a completed status here in just a moment if everything works as it should. There we go. So you can see status is completed. So now if I pull my workbook back up, I might have to reopen that so we can refresh the data that was in it. Let me just reopen my workbook here. And we should actually have some data in that guy. There it is. So you can see I have my single row of data that I entered into the actual workbook there. And if I go and let me close that one more time, let's just do one more. And you'll see how it fills in a second row of data here. So let's use this one. So we'll fill this in, we'll hit submit. Okay. And it is still running, so we'll give it a second to complete here. Should be just about now. Let me reopen my workbook. And we'll take a look, and you can see now the second entry has pushed down the first one, so it's filling in that table data. So if you have, if you want to collect information from a Nintex Workflow Cloud form, and your users still would like to have that data inputted into Excel, for whatever reason that might be, we do have the ability to go in and fill in that Excel table now with data from Nintex Workflow Cloud form. Thank you very much.